There are times that we want to supply default values to the parameters of a function. For example, let's imagine we want to write a function for calculating the total interest. So here we have three parameters: principal, interest rate, and years. And here's the formula to calculate the total interest. Principal times rate divided by 100 times years. Now, let's call this function. Let's imagine the principal is $10,000, rate is 3.5%, and we want to pay this back over 5 years. So let's log this on the console. So the total interest we have to pay is just over $1,700. Now, what if we want to have default values for the interest rate and the number of years? Well, earlier in the section about operators, I showed you a technique like this. So rate equals rate or 3.5. So if rate has a value, if it's truthy, we're going to use that. Otherwise, we're going to use 3.5. So we can use the logical OR operator to give a variable a default value. Similarly, we can set years to years or 5. With this, if we exclude these arguments, those default values will be used. So I'm going to delete these, save the changes, and you can see we still get the same result. But starting from ES6, we have a cleaner way to achieve the same thing. So instead of having these logical expressions, we can set the default values right here. So we set rate to 3.5 and years to 5. And now we can delete these two lines, save the changes, we still get the same result. So you can see setting the default value for function parameters is really easy. There is just one caveat here. Once you give a parameter a default value, you should also give all the other parameters after that a default value. For example, let's see what happens if we set the default value for rate, but not for the years. When we save the changes, we get not a number. Because we passed 10,000, so principal is 10,000, rate is by default 3.5, but years doesn't have a value, so it's undefined. That's why the result of this expression is not a number. Now, what if we pass 5 for the years? Well, this is confusing for the JavaScript engine because it doesn't know if 5 should be used for rate or for the years. So if I save the changes, we still get the same result, not a number, because in this case, 5 is used for the rate, but years is still undefined. Now, there is a trick around this, so we can pass undefined for the second parameter, and with this, rate will be set to 3.5 and years will be set to 5. Let's save the changes. Now we get the same result as before. But code like this is really ugly. Somebody looking at this code, they wonder, what is this undefined? They have to look at the function to figure out what parameter is associated with undefined. So as a best practice, whenever you want to give a function parameter a default value, make sure that that parameter is the last parameter in the list, or give all the parameters after that a default value.